I don't know what the thumb smashed against your fingers means. What's that mean? We want to thank AutoAlert for sponsoring Modern Dealerships in the Box. Gives an opportunity, I'm Joey Little, to talk to some of the automotive industries, or the automotive retail industries, best brains, leadership, just all that good stuff. And so thank you to AutoAlert for having us right here in the Perch. This is a bigger, Glenn Pasch with me, CEO of PCG Companies. This is a bigger area they've given us this year.
This is a little bit bigger, yes, we do have that.
Nice. You guys can't see it unless you're here at NIADA, which you're not because you're watching this, so who'd be watching this while they're at NIADA besides us up on the big screen?
Maybe.
Glenn's here. I wanted to talk to Glenn again, do a follow-up from last year. Glenn and I sat down, you talked about the 3 pillars of leadership, and what needs to happen in somebody's life, right. Taking immense action to make a difference. We didn't really talk shop. Right. We didn't really talk about what PCG companies do. Right. We do know you had your AWAs last night. Was
2 nights ago.
2 nights ago.
Thursday, yeah.
And I just talked to Eric Milch just a little while ago,
yes.
who walked away with some hardware from your show.
He did.
You guys are all over automotive retail. But you, I respect about you is that not only do you talk the talk, but you walk the walk. Right, you implement, or you can see it. I mean, a lot of us just communicate digitally,
right, through
social media or whatever. But you talk the talk, and I wanted to get an update from you on the pillars of leadership in whether it be automotive retail, whether it be on the vendor side, or whether it be just in just everyday life.
Oh, great. Yeah. So.
Or if anything has changed. Maybe everything's the same for
No, it's not that it's changed. I think that it's still really important. I think that one of the things that is the last thing to change is that process, right? We're surrounded here by tech.
Yeah.
And I just having a conversation before I came on here with someone, and they were saying, you know, the problem sometimes with tech is we forgot about how we interact with customers and communicate. And really focus on their experience. We love the tech because we think that's going to be the answer, so we don't have to work so hard at that. And
can I compare it to getting a date on Tinder is easy because of the tech, but actually having a good date
and a relationship
is not tech related, and I
yes.
see my analogy to kind of like...
Well, and then what happens is, if you want to go with that further, is that if it goes bad, you can blame the tech.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at the mirror. So sometimes
Tinder
dealers,
just gives me crappy people.
It's exactly it.
Yeah.
So you can blame your tech to say, well, that tech didn't help me sell cars, or it's that, versus, well, how are my people? Eventually we got to get down to the people. We are a people business. Someone is coming here to buy a car, service a car, they're interacting with your staff. So if you don't have those pillars in place to help give your team some guidance to say, this is what we're supposed to be doing, then train them and help hold them accountable and coach and develop them, it's not going to happen. So nothing's really changed. We've seen a little bit more focus on it. Dealers are starting to go, hey, we have to invest in some, not training on the tech, but management training, right? I just was talking with a vendor across the road there. I had sent him some information about a manager training class. He goes, Glenn, we need that here too. We're growing so big that as we expand, you know, we're putting people in place now to run teams, and we're trying to catch up to train them, and we need some help. So I think that with anything, be it vendors, it could be hospitality, it could be your business right here, no matter, every time someone moves up to another level, that training still has to continue, especially if you're overseeing people. And so I'm hoping that it starts to become a more forefront, but for dealers, it's still that battle of, well, if I invest in people, are they going to leave me and go somewhere else? So why should I do that? And I always go, yeah, but if you don't, what are you left with? Right? What if they stay?
How do you, so I've noticed in the industry, automotive retail, that if there happens to be a pain point or a challenge, that there will be companies, people that will come in and try to provide solutions for
Sure.
that. But you also open it up to crap.
Yes.
Right? You get the flat, so people, employee relations in the automotive retail industry has been a challenge for the existence of the industry. And there's been a lot of snake oil people that have come in with that flash in the pan,
Sure.
quick. How do you how do you get dealers to get over that? Because they're looking for the quick solution, right? They're not looking for the long-term training, stay training. You know what I mean? I just talked to Terry Miller earlier,
right,
who just took over as a GM. He was with the Galpin Ford, and now he's in Kansas City. He meets with every single one of his employees,
right,
and just lets them talk, right? I don't know a lot of dealers doing that, and I don't know a lot of consultants or whatever that are going in that are telling them to do that.
Well,
maybe you guys, but
well, it takes time. And so that gentleman, Terry was his name?
Terry Miller,
Terry,
yeah.
right. Terry already gets it. Terry understands if I'm going to train and develop my people, I have to understand my people, because what's important to you today may not be important to you 2 years from now. I think it's what you also said is that it's this rush. Automotive as an industry is unique because it's this 30-day cycle. Everything is geared 30. There is no, you think about other, even vendors here, even for your team here. Yeah, you might have some monthly goals, but you probably have goals, yearly sales goals, you break them down into quarters, and you have meetings to say, are you on pace? What's in your, what's sort of in your funnel, are you going to hit it? But it's not, if you don't hit it today, you're fired, right? That vendors have a little bit longer term, but the manufacturers and dealers are really set on this 30-day cycle. So I don't have time. I've had the conversations, you have too. Is this going to sell me more cars this month? If not, I don't have time. And it takes a special breed of manager to say, we can push on that lever and still sell, but I'm seeing 6 months down here. I might not get there yet, but then once I get there, it's the hockey stick. It's going to be here, and then it's going to launch up that way. So it takes a special breed of managers or owners or people who can say, we want to invest time, because I can say a year from now, we're going to dominate. It's going to be maybe ugly for a couple months, but where do I want to be a year from now? And that's crazy in automotive. Where are you going to be? What do you mean a year?
That brings me into a very specific question. I've heard for the last couple of years about these big auto groups that are coming in and buying these single stores, single rooftops.
Yep.
Do you think that maybe because if you're a bigger store, a bigger group, you tend to have a lot of, you've implemented what you're talking about. Projections, 6 months out, 18 months out, just looking where we want to be, because you're a lot more people and a lot bigger brains. Do you think that they're looking at these single stores, these single rooftops, and seeing the potential that they have, and that's what's bringing them in? They know they're not going to change. They know that they're not going to be, they don't have the same culture to be looking that far out?
I think it's a little bit of that. If you're a single point owner, you have to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But if I'm in a 10-store, 20-store group, if this one has a little bit bad, I can offset that pain point because I have somewhere else that's doing well. So as a global entity, and also you can spread costs across, right? If I'm a single point store, I can't hire, probably not, a full-time marketing manager to sit in here. But if I have 10 stores, I can build a little bit of a department in here and I don't have to outsource. And you have a tendency to have an extra layer of, I want to say, executive management that's out of the stores. Right? So now I have somebody in operations that oversees the store. Now we've created somebody above the general managers, and now, Joey, your team are the general managers. Right?
And we report to the...
And then that person reports up to the main table, just like someone's above marketing, and their team is all the marketing people, and their team is this. So I think you're right. I just think that certain single point stores, again, a lot of it is just, it's very personality driven. It's hard to be systematic when, if I have a bad month, it's really, really bad. So I got to push on emotion, and I just got to worry. It
just hit me that thinking that maybe groups are looking at a single point store that's selling 100 cars a month and knowing that store can do 140.
Oh yeah,
right?
I'm sure they could say, if I bring you into it, it would be no different than, you see corporations, outside of automotive, they go buy another one. I mean, AutoAlert, Cox, they look at it and say, what's the upside if I merge these, either the employees or this technology into mine? I could do more with it. One, maybe I have more resources to dedicate to it. Well, it links better. I have other people who are looking at it differently, and so you're right. I could take a 100-car store. Maybe if I brought in a different manager with a different system and in 6 months they could be selling 150. But that big group might turn around and say, that location is so sweet, if we put it through our grinder and our machine, we could get 200 cars,
right,
250. And it's just that that person doesn't have the capital to do that. They're so busy working in the business versus working on the business, where I have a group of people who can sit back and analyze strategically. So,
changing gears just a little bit, talking about personnel, and I believe a challenge that the automotive retail industry has had for a long time is that in sales, in the dealership, for you to move up, for you to become management, really doesn't have to do with management skills. It all has to do with how many, the volume that you've been doing month after month. You take somebody who's been through, I don't know, your leadership courses and stuff, and graduated and done all this, and is only selling 14 cars a month, but you take somebody else who's making 25 cars a month, that person tends to get that push up. How do we fix that?
Well, I think that comes with education. The problem is sometimes the general manager who's choosing that person, that's the way they came through. Very rarely do you see a general manager come through the fixed op side. They all come through the variable side.
Right.
So again, it is a lot of, well, I sold a lot, I know how to desk the deals, and that's really what we're trying to do. When in reality, the best managers and leaders of teams aren't necessarily the best performers, but that's a big switch for someone to say, I know you only sell 14 cars, but everybody loves you and everybody listens to you and they work hard for you, versus you sell 25 and everybody hates you and they're looking for ways to jeopardize you and make you look bad. That's not good for the whole store as well. But that just is going to be a long-term slog.
It seems like it's already been a long term. I'm
looking for
that,
it's going to change.
that bookend that's going to, you know what I mean?
I don't think so, just because automotive, the only way I think that really changes is if, and again, I don't think it would ever change, it's this long term where you start pushing out sales goals and initiatives over a quarter, over 6 months, where someone can say, I can take a step backwards because I know I go forward. Right now, nobody can take a step backwards. Nobody's willing to risk anything to say, all right, if I sold 100, but if I cut back to 80, because I'm going to put you in place, but I know in 5 months we're going to be selling 150, nobody wants to hear. Manufacturer doesn't want to hear, hey, I'm going to cut my sales back for a little bit because we're learning. They're going, do both at the same time.
It's that 30-day cycle that, you're only as good as your next 30 days.
It is, and it is a lot of pressure. There is no rhyme or reason, but I had a discussion the other day with a manufacturer. They were talking about digital retailing and implementing it, and I told them, I said, I think you're implementing it incorrectly, or the way you want to go about it. Of course, they looked at me and was like, what do you mean? I said, you're thinking top down. What tools can we use? And I'm going, you got to start at, how do you want your customers to feel? And then what do we have to do to make them, and then we pick the tech, and then we work backwards through this. So I just don't know, because in every other industry, it's all, we go back based on experience. We go to restaurants because of experience, but automotive hasn't, it's starting. Really smart dealers are starting to go, even here today, I've heard 3 dealers say, there's nothing new. We just got to figure all this out. And now they're starting to go, oh, we got to start taking care of our customers. In service, how do we retain our customers?
How many dealers do you think are even heard customer experience?
They know, they've heard
customer service.
No, they've heard it. They just don't know how to make it. They just assume that if I have good cars and I give them a fair price, in my mind, they go, well, that's good. No.
That goes back to the trinity of what I've heard in all radio advertising my entire life for car dealerships. We have the largest inventory, we have the lowest prices, and since my daddy and my grandpa owned this place 45 years ago, we're not going to screw you. That's pretty much the...
But that doesn't really resonate, especially with young people anymore. Yeah. But if a dealership really wants to look at it and say, our goal in 2020 and beyond, in my opinion, is customer retention. How do I hold on to my people? If I sold you a car and I hand you over there to Mark about, and he's going to be your service advisor, his job is to hold on to you for the next 3 years or 4 years until you're ready to go. And you guys work together. But Mark has to be held accountable to the same thing that you as a salesperson were, which he isn't really. His is, did I sell versus, well, how many times did you come back? What's your retention score? Like Mark should have a customer retention score. He should be just like you. Sales has a closing ratio. What percentage of the people that I give you are staying with us? And then assign a value to them. How much money are they spending? What's their long-term value? Where then, if you come in, all of a sudden, even if you don't have the tiers, just like your airline, you're presidential. All of a sudden I see it, I'm like, Joey's here, he spends a lot, he has a high LTV. Manager greets you, what can I get you? Right? So all of a sudden, different levels of service. Right now it's just, but I think people understand that I have to give a good experience. I just don't think they know how to build it. They just assume that it's those levers of price. If I give you a good price, you're happy. No, I'll pay more if you take care of me, if you save me time, if you make it easier for me. You know, I was listening to Brian Benstock out there earlier, and you know, Paragon's done a great job with service of, we'll come pick up your car and we'll bring it back to you. And anything to make it easy for you to do business with us, that's what we should be thinking, because that's the way that's why we go to Amazon. It's not, we go buy our stuff on Amazon. We don't search, we search in Google.
Right.
We find it on YouTube. We go like that. You don't buy it on YouTube. I mean, sometimes you can. Everybody pivots and goes to Amazon, this is what I want now, boop, and tomorrow, boom.
Right.
Here it is. So how do you sort of mush that and say, if you're here, how do I get you to go, that's my car person? I take care. Just like you, if I came to your town and said, where are we going to eat? You're like, there. Why? Just wait. You're going to feel the experience. It's great. They take care of you. We love going there. When I leave there, I go, I love going to this place. Why can't dealerships be that way? Yeah. Especially for service. And that's where I think the win's going to be this next year or so, is how do we start focusing on fixed operations and treating that as, that's really the way that we're going to retain our clients. It's not sales. Sales gets them in the door. They retain, and it can't just be a crappy experience because they have to come here for warranty or whatever. They should be like, oh, thank God, I never want to go anywhere else.
You got choices. Sometimes
dealers
forget
way too many choices, but that's the whole key, is that going back to the very beginning, is if selling cars is the equivalent of like Kansas City, where you are, multiple barbecue places.
Absolutely.
But if I asked you which one should we go to, you're like, that one.
Yeah.
Right? So same thing, cars are all the same. Someone's going to say, if you want a car, that's where you go. Why? They take care of you, not the car. They don't talk about the car. It's like they take care of you. They make it easy. They help you. That's really should be the goal.
Well, thank you very much, Glenn Pasch, CEO of PCG Companies. I'm getting the word we got to go to a press conference.
Yes, and go Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City. We're going to see how they do next year, right?
No. Are you savor the moment.
So are you a Jets fan or Giants fan?
I'm a New York fan, but Giants before Jets.
Giants before Jets.
So we're going to see.
Let's see how it goes.
With Jason Garrett as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, a lot of changes. Glenn Pasch, you want to connect with him, like I said, on LinkedIn. Check out what he's doing. Great leadership.
See ya. Awesome, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.